He was beyond impressed. It felt like he had ascended to the level of a god of construction, though the surveying and design areas are a bit limited for now. Those limitations would be resolved later, as the skills could be upgraded. Still, Lloyd felt a twinge of disappointment. It would have been even better if I had skills related to heavy machinery or construction equipment. With those, he might have been able to build his own equipment, but sadly, that wasn't within his expertise. He was a civil engineer, not a mechanical engineer. With a slight sigh, Lloyd continued to explore the skill menu. That's when something caught his eye. What's this? Fantasy creature random draw. Use RP to summon a fantasy creature. Powerful and unique creatures will serve their master with absolute loyalty and provide various abilities. Was this a gacha system, like those in mobile games? This world has everything, doesn't it? Lloyd was tempted to try it, but there was a problem. He didn't have enough RP. 1 draw equals 50 RP. Titch, I'm short. He had used up most of his RP unlocking 2 skills, leaving him with just 1 RP. Looks like I'll need to collect more RP, and he already knew how to do that. Improve his relationships with key characters. That was the way to earn RP. Fortunately, there was no shortage of opportunities, especially during this time. Right, now's the perfect time for it. Lloyd suddenly remembered the storyline from the early chapters of Night of Blood and Iron. This was the part where Javier was still living in the Baron's household. At this point in the story, Baron Frontera was frequently harassed by debt collectors. Maybe today was one of those days. He called for a servant and discreetly asked a question. The servant nodded in confirmation. Yes, young master. As a matter of fact, some visitors arrived to see the Baron earlier today. As expected. The timing was perfect. Lloyd smiled. What a stroke of luck. He had just the plan in mind to earn more RP. Leaving his room, Lloyd headed straight for the Baron's office. So what are you going to do about it? As he neared the office, Lloyd could hear agitated voices even from the hallway. Was it because the mansion's walls were old and thin, or were the people inside just being extra loud? Lloyd opened the door and quickly realized it was the latter. Baron, how much longer are you going to delay this? You're already 5 days overdue. That's right. Keep stalling like this and we won't sit by quietly. The 2 debt collectors were standing in the office, arms crossed and chins held high. One was a portly man with a protruding belly. The other was gaunt and pale, like he was sickly. Both had their hands on their hips, radiating arrogance. And the Baron? He was slumped in his chair, sighing deeply. His shoulders sagged as if he were weighed down by guilt. Can't blame him. The 2 men currently visiting the barony were infamous loan sharks. Ruthless and unrelenting, they never gave up on collecting their debts. Even if their debtor died, they'd sell the corpse to recoup their money. They'll meet their end soon enough, though. Javier beheads them later on. But that was a future event, happening a year from now after the Baron's tragic suicide. How did it even come to this? Borrowing from scum like them. Lloyd clicked his tongue. He stepped forward, his voice low and firm. No matter what, Baron Frontera is still the lord of this land. If you've come as visitors, shouldn't you at least show some respect? It was only then that the 2 loan sharks seemed to notice Lloyd's presence. The Baron, too, lifted his head, startled. Lloyd? The Baron's voice was filled with surprise. Lloyd gave him a slight nod. The portly loan shark looked confused and interjected. And who might you be? I am the eldest son of this house. The eldest son? That's correct. Oh, you're the one with the infamous reputation for eccentric behavior. Yes, I'm somewhat well known, aren't I? So, is this your idea of respecting your elders? Barging into a conversation uninvited? I'm merely protecting the honor of the noble Frontera family. Well, that's going to be a problem. Why is that? Because it looks like this family's title won't be around for much longer. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen. Lloyd smiled and took a step closer to the loan sharks. In the meantime, though, let's see your invitation. What? The portly man's brow furrowed. Lloyd chuckled and continued. Your invitation? Do you not have one? What's this nonsense about an invitation? Royal Nobility Act, Article 3, Clause 6. All nobles of the kingdom, regardless of rank or title, have the right and honor to protect their own status and rights. No one may trespass without invitation. What the? In simple terms, visiting a noble household without an invitation constitutes trespassing under the law of the kingdom. Are you accusing us of trespassing? Ah, so you do understand. Lloyd clapped his hands. Nobody really enforced such laws in reality, but the law still existed. He remembered a cathartic scene from the early chapters of Night of Blood and Iron. It happened after the suicide of Baron Frontera and his wife. During their funeral, these same two loan sharks had shown up, demanding that even their corpses be sold to repay the debt. At that moment, Javier had drawn his sword, citing this very law, and cut them both down. Javier had faced trial afterward, but was cleared of all charges because the law was real, and the loan sharks had trespassed without an invitation. We're not quite at that point yet, so I can't kill them here, but I can certainly drive them out. So I suggest you leave now, and next time come back after learning some proper manners. You think you can get away with this? Let's wait and see, shall we? The two loan sharks snarled at Lloyd, but he merely scoffed. They stormed out of the office, and Lloyd watched them go with a smirk on his face. Only then did the Baron speak up, his voice bewildered. What did you do? When Lloyd turned to face him, he saw the Baron's face had gone pale. Understandable. He probably thinks I've just made things worse. After all, Lloyd had provoked the very people he should have been trying to placate him. But instead of explaining, Lloyd reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small pouch. He placed it on the Baron's desk with a clink. Don't worry. What's this? This should be more than enough to cover the interest for this month. Use it to settle things for now. It should buy us some peace for the time being. And this, where did it come from? It was the deposit from the Ondal contracts he had secured earlier, but Lloyd didn't bother explaining. There was someone else far more trustworthy in the Baron's eyes. If you're curious, ask Sir Azrahan. He'll explain. Lloyd gave the Baron a polite bow, then quickly left the office before the Baron could stop him. Phew. Once outside, he let out the breath he had been holding. Shaking his head to clear the lingering tension, Lloyd didn't head for his bedroom. Instead, he made his way to the mansion's backyard training ground. The training grounds were empty, bathed in the soft light of the moon. He paced for a while, waiting. After about an hour, he finally felt it. The reaction should be coming any moment now. As if on cue, it arrived. Ding dong! Your relationship with Baron Arcos Frontera has increased by +6. Current relationship with Baron Arcos Frontera, -14. You've earned 60 RP for improving your relationship with a key character. Current RP, 61. Got it. Lloyd clenched his fist in triumph. Just as he had anticipated, the Baron had likely called for Javier and learned everything about Lloyd's recent activities from him. Everything went according to plan. If Lloyd had explained things himself, it would have lacked impact. Given his notorious history, no one would believe that he had suddenly turned over a new leaf. Well done, Javier. Javier's objective and factual explanation would have lent credibility to Lloyd's actions. Thanks to that, Lloyd now had a whopping 61 RP. Waiting in the empty training grounds had been worth it. Finally, it was time for his first fantasy creature summon.